Let's get into it. 1, 2, 3. Let's get some more. Clap your hands. Some more. Let's get some more.
Why, hello, and welcome to my Whiskey Den, your favorite public access whiskey review show where craft whiskey is king. And tonight, we are happy to have everyone in the chat here, and you are lucky to be coming on this little tour with us, because tonight we have Hunter Coffey with us, and we were lucky enough to go to Three Boys Distillery ourselves about a month back to actually tour this great place and taste some fantastic whiskey when we were there. Hunter, thank you for stopping in. We really appreciate you coming on the show this evening to discuss what's going on out there.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you, everyone in the chat, for showing up. I see Dave's out there. Oscar, I see you in there early. See a couple other people. Thanks for being on time and prompt. We always appreciate that. Now, excuse me. Now, Hunter, when did you start getting the itch to become a distiller? Was it at a really young age, or did it happen later in life?
I say it happened through necessity. So I went to college, and so I went to college to play baseball at Union College down in Barberville. Unbeknownst to me, that it was a dry county. The closest beer was 45 minutes away up in Richmond. So necessity is the mother of learning. So I just kind of started Googling and trying to figure it out myself. That's how it started.
That's a good way to do that.
So how successful were you? How successful were you in the beginning?
It was very trial by fire. Definitely. So I started off with a pressure cooker still. So you drill a hole through the top and put your vapor pipe on, and I blew 2 of them up in a week. My best guess is, because I didn't know the strain, the mash, before you put it in there. So either a kernel got clogged or my pipe was already clogged when I started distilling, and the pressure built, and poof. Top goes through the fucking ceiling, bottom goes through the range. Yeah, it was fun. I'm pretty sure the appliance guy was really confused when I came there and bought another range within a week.
Did you at least try to warranty it?
I didn't even think about that, actually. I'm a poor college student, so it's buying them for $50. But that would have been pretty funny. Take it back to Lowe's and, hey, something happened. I don't know what happened, but it imploded.
And it's not working anymore. It's not working anymore.
What's this crap you're selling me? Come on.
This thing's not very sturdy.
Yeah. Do you have a cast iron stove?
That probably would have worked a lot better.
Did you have anybody kind of helping you out, or are you just trying to completely figure it out on your own?
Like literally all through Google knowledge.
Yep.
I mean, that's what it really was. And trying to read, at the time I didn't have the connections that I do now to be able to call up people and kind of work through problems that I have. Back then it was just all like, is it going to blow up? Is it not? Am I going to go blind? I mean, there's a lot of variables going on.
Yeah.
So I was being extra safe with my cuts. Like I was throwing a good portion of the hearts away too, because I was trying to be extra safe.
But I was going to say, I like that actually getting in there and trying it and kind of working it out yourself. It usually leads to good things. And Mitch was saying in a week, and yes, I believe that was 2 stoves in a week.
Yes, I didn't learn from the first time.
Hey, shit happens. Not to make a deal.
But you didn't go through a 3rd stove, so I mean, there's progress.
No, I did not.
Right.
So
have you
figured out to strain it and make sure all the pipes are clear, and that helps a lot.
All right.
Have you ever tried to recreate any of the old mash bills you started with?
Oh, it was like the whole thing was just very crude too. So it's like just throw a bunch of fucking corn in there, a little bit of barley. Like my conversion rates had to be absolute shit. Nothing I made actually tasted like it was barely drinkable, for sure. But like I had no idea what the proof was or anything like that. It was just alcohol.
And that's all that mattered
it was
then,
fun.
right?
Yeah,
That's what I was gonna say.
Yeah.
College that cleared for something. You know what I
Right.
mean?
So it was like I said, it was 45 minutes to go to Richmond, or you go to Virginia, it was about an hour and 15 minutes going through Harlan, which is sketchy as hell. And then, or you go to down Tennessee to the Red Caboose that was a pizza joint that served beer, and they never ID'd, so it worked for me.
I take that as well.
Yeah.
Everyone has one of those places that didn't question anybody.
No. If you can sit at the table, then you got served.
So were there any family members that kind of helped you in the process, or were you like an offshoot
definitely
original?
kept it very low key on it. Pretty sure my parents don't even know I distilled in college. So,
So may have just gotten you in trouble. Well, not really. I mean,
well,
they got to be happy with what happened.
They kind of guessed.
Mhm.
But, yeah, it was definitely I didn't even know there was dry counties in Kentucky, so definitely was surprising to me when I went down there.
That would throw me off, especially from here to be like, we have to go over there to drink. This sounds like a terrible idea.
So by the time
Right.
I left there, it was counted as moist, so they did serve in restaurants at that point. But I was just back there probably about 2.5 months ago to pick up a hutch for the ever-growing collection of bottles. And there was a liquor store like 200 yards away from campus. And I was like, man, that would have been a lot of trouble. But also if that happened too, then I would have never been where I am now. So
what were the steps for you going from just like practical home distilling to getting to where you are now?
a lot of luck and a lot of chance.
Yeah.
So after at Union, then I went to K-State at the Agricultural Research Center. And and so I was there going to college, and then also was an assistant researcher. The assistant researchers were on grant money, and that grant money ran out. So I was kind of out of a job. So I was like, what the hell am I going to do now? So I was kind of fishing around. The lawyer here for the distillery said, hey, I know this guy, Ross, that needs some help cutting some wood and some miscellaneous stuff. I was like, cool, I can do that until I find a job. So I came down here and I was cutting wood and showed I had an aptitude for, like, I was not stupid. So I could learn and retain information. So he taught me how to cook and showed me how the safely work the still and the cut-up valves and everything else too. And just kind of took over from there. I mean, I already had a general knowledge of it, but to actually do it on a different scale, like with this still, I feel like I got spoiled going from a pressure cooker. It's a big difference, and it also reacts completely different from the way the pressure cooker would act. And same thing if like any distiller went to another distillery and tried to run a different still. It's totally different. Someone can't walk in there from day one and start running it. It's definitely a process.
So about how long before you kind of felt at home on the still that you have?
Well, I was scared to death of it at first because, I mean,
It's a big still.
They're not cheap, so it's that's one of those Ross's first things to me is that they told me how much it was worth, and I was like, do you trust me with that? I did blow up 2 pressure cookers, so it was very difficult to kind of let go and kind of learn the limitations of it, and also learn how the still reacts to temperatures and what it's going to do. How I know if it starts doing this, then I know it's about to do this. Proof's about to go down, or proof's about to go up. learning the steam gauge, because everything's manually done on it, and that's the kind of cool part of it, because there's always that human touch to each single distillation. But it's fun. I enjoy it, but you do have to be on your P's and Q's for 14 hours to 16 hours.
That is a damn long time to be paying attention to stuff. And that was one of the things when we were looking at stuff. You do a lot of things there that kind of take quite a while. Yeah. Now, I know when we were there, sorry, I'm trying to get to the right part where I have a picture here. You use a unique type of fermenter. You use like the cypress fermenters for the time being. Oak?
Yep.
Oh, sorry, oak fermenters, my bad. But I know when we were talking about it, how long does it take you to clean each one of those right now?
It's right around 4.5 hours to 5 hours, depending on how lazy I was cleaning it out when I was pumping into the still. So usually right now it entails a washout, then get in there with a shock back all the solids out, then spray out again, then caustic acid wash, spray that down pretty quickly so it doesn't eat away at the wood, then steam it for 2.5 hours to get the wood up to temperatures so it's going to kill all the bacteria. Then I can dump stuff into it. It's a process for sure. And so that's why right now we're kind of down in a stance right now, because we're actually getting those skinned and stainless steel to alleviate those problems and also fix those bottoms, because they're side fading right now, and having a cone at the bottom would make my life so much easier.
Oh, unimaginably different. I'm excited about that. I know it seems dumb, but being that I think there was like 4 of those there. I mean, that in and of itself is a day, maybe 2 days of just getting it to the point where you could, start redoing stuff on it and start moving forward. We love the time and effort that goes into that, but that's also, to an extent, a little unnecessary if you want to keep moving up and moving forward with scale with what you're doing.
It is a big undertaking too. I mean, it's so right now I'm basically, while I'm waiting for those fermenters to get done, I'm just fermenting in my cooker. So that's what I'm doing right now currently until we get those fermenters fixed.
Are they going to stay open top, or are you going to close?
Yeah, could be.
Are you going to keep them open top, or are you going to seal them?
I'm going to stay open top, because we do like celebrating the single barrel and what that represents. And there's so many variation in what's going on. We always have the bay doors open. So you always got that wild yeast coming in.
Yeah.
So we got a bunch of blackberry bushes around here, a shit ton of honeysuckle. So all that wild yeast is all in the air. And it's always going to be dropping into the fermenters and imparting a different flavor each and every single time, which I enjoy, because I like uniqueness and stuff that's different.
Right.
It gives you a baseline and gives you kind of a nice twist to it. And that kind of led into another question I was going to ask you about the type of yeast that you guys like to use. But I was going to say, having that extra wild yeast throughout the year, have you seen any one barrel that had a huge dramatic difference that you think might have come from that?
So it's kind of hard to say, because I do a lot of contract distilling, so I'm always doing a different recipe almost every single time, and I'm still trying to find the one that I really like and hone in on. But I mean, we got the ones that we have in the gift shop, and those are pretty basic mash bills. But for something that I want to do for my own thing, it's something I'm still experimenting with. I'm up to now 92 different recipes that I've done just through contract distilling, and that's always stuff that I can always pull from too, and be able to kind of use different grains or different yeast and kind of see how it affects the flavor.
So if you haven't found one that you really like to hone in on, are there a list of them that you do not want to do if you don't have to?
I got a list of potential stuff, but they're all still young, so I hadn't seen them the maturation process there yet in the barrel. And also, it's also so unique too in itself. I got 3 barrels, usually 3 to 4 barrels that comes off each cook. So I got to one may be really, really good, but the other barrel may be so-so. I mean, there's so much natural variation in the wood itself that it's hard to hone in on any of that kind of stuff to know if is it really the recipe or is it just the barrel.
Now, you mentioned contract distilling, and there are we've mentioned a lot of different distilleries that do that. Throughout the time of doing that, have you ever, as you're doing it for someone, have you noticed someone's recipe and then wanted to try to change it as you see it happening?
There's but they're paying good money to get what their recipe that they're wanting to produce. So it's very depending on how stubborn are they willing to change and work with me a little bit, because usually it's about the how much malt, and they're not wanting to use any enzymes. So if they want to do pure malt, they're usually really light on the malt side, and you're not going to get that conversion rate. And that's what the main problem I run into. And I said, you can still do this, but you're going to have to use some enzymes because you're not going to convert all that starch over to sugars. And sometimes they're really bullish on it. And I was like, well, you're going to have a shit yield. And they kind of come around on that point because they've already paid for 3 barrels. And if they end up with fucking 1.5, that's on them. I warned them.
That's not how it was. Mitch had a question here. He's been told the variance caused by yeast gets aged out pretty quick. Have you noticed that at all?
I mean, we're just a very small amount of like wild yeast is actually imparting anything in there, and I could definitely see that. I mean, I don't see any like crazy flavors coming out, but you notice small, minute stuff. I mean, most of our stuff is hitting around 5 to 8 years old. So we got a little bit older stuff, but it's also very experimental phase kind of things too. So I can't really say either way. I haven't noticed a difference, but I do know a difference in what time I'm distilling, especially for like our 98 and 104. So it's a like set recipe, but something I distill in the spring will taste completely different when I distill in the fall. It'll be there'll be small things, but it won't be huge things.
Have you noticed the impact of like moon phase on how the still runs? No.
Now, so we're not temperature controlled in here, so definitely depending on what time in the year it is, definitely depends on how the still runs in the column, because if it's really cold, then it's going to be a lot of reflux going on in the column. And if it's a lot warmer, not as much. I'm relying more on my defimator. And also I pump back reflux onto the platelets too. So I kind of force reflux instead of just putting my tails directly into the still.
Nice. I like that. Now, obviously we can tell it's a pot still, and this is the way we saw it when we went there, and we were obviously impressed at that point. But it is pretty damn shiny behind you right now. It looks damn pretty.
Like I said, we just want to get that nice even patina on it and not have it be. I hated it. It was just an ungodly mess. So the previous owner thought it was a great idea to put insulating stuff around the column, and you'll never be able to get your distillate all the way to the top. Well, you want that to hit there so it refluxes. It's just kind of those things, and it made it a very ugly patina, and now I'm very excited to get a nice even patina on it and it match our copper pipes.
Yeah, she looks sharp now. Does your still have a name?
We are actually working on that right now.
Oh.
It's actually harder than you think. Like, we actually just sold a little mini, I guess you can say a little cooker. A beer guy just bought it, and it was so easy. As soon as we put it back in the truck, he had a black truck, but I said, man, you can paint this thing red. We can just call it Dorothy, because it looked like in Twister, the things, and then now that's its name is Dorothy. I mean, it just came so easy, and then this one, it's just it runs really well. It doesn't have any kind of weird quirks about it that help with the name. So it's kind of we're actually going to be running a contest, naming contest, and then we'll be able to do those and pick out a name.
Something that stands out. So keep an eye on that, everyone in the chat. It's always good to get in on something like that. Feel like you're a part of history, you know.
Well, we'll also will compensate too. If you are the winning name, we also will give you something.
Oh wow! So now I'll be entering. The whole chat will now be entering. Please enter freely as it starts, as you should. Sorry, Mitch, but it's completely inappropriate. But you polished your pipe.
These pipes, no.
These pipes, no. And Richie Z, I am sipping on something we bottled when we were there. It was number 4. Mike, what is the mash bill on barrel number 4 here?
Number 4 is 68 corn, 21 rye, and the less caramel malt.
And I love the way the caramel malt settles in on this one. It's
a dessert whiskey.
It's a dessert whiskey, but it was lovely. And I like that you even remember what the 4 barrels were when we were there, because that's impressive. There'd be a point where I would shut that shit off, Hunter.
That was definitely that was peaches. And now the first barrel in the rotation now it also has caramel malt in it too, and it's super caramel forward.
Mm-hmm.
But no, I absolutely love this one. It was hard. There was barrel number 1 and 4 were a difficult choice to go in between. Mike probably made the right one by getting both. Not to say the other ones weren't there, but that was the one I loved.
Yeah, I'm sipping number 1 right now, and it's definitely got that heavy caramel note. Go ahead.
If you had to go back now and someone said, "Hey, recreate your first experience, with positive results of making whiskey," how well do you think that you could rig up a pressure cooker to make a still?
Now, I believe it'd be a lot better. I mean, definitely knowing I know now. And I would say, fuck a pressure cooker. I would go with the Instapot. Instapot's so much easier to rig up for a still versus the pressure cooker anyways.
Okay. Why is that?
Because for one, you don't have to drill a fucking hole. You just take off the pressure relief valve there for people that don't have Instapot, they're not going to know what the hell we're talking about.
That's okay.
So the pressure, usually it's red, and you push it down, the steam comes out. You can relieve the pressure. So you just take that off, bulkhead, or you can flare your pipe through there, and then usually you'll just have it by a sink for your condenser to condense it all. Then go into the other sink where you'd actually collect your distillate.
Sorry, I was just reading Eli, and I thought the exact same thing of, that's not it. Hold on, it jumped here. It was, he's totally not taking notes at the moment. I saw Ben, you were looking straight down for a second. I'm like, Ben looks like he's like, dude, this happens. And
I mean, there's a ton of things on Google how to do it.
Yes. All right.
Not that, I mean, you need your permit, you need your DSP. But
not saying you should home distill, but if you were to,
I mean, you can acquire a ethanol permit for fuel, but do you expect to get checked? They'll hide it really well.
There's a couple runs that just seem to mysteriously disappear.
I didn't run last week. What are you talking about?
How do you at this point? How do you decide to make the cuts that you're making? Are they pretty wide? Are they a little narrow on the stuff that you enjoy making?
The cuts for the heads and tails?
Yeah. Sorry. How far in do you go?
As soon as heads stop, I don't put any heads or tails in my stuff.
Okay.
I do really clean cuts. I make sure that I know some people do like that, and I just I have no experience about aging stuff with heads or tails in a barrel, so I don't really want to start doing it. But I wouldn't be opposed to doing it if I had some guidance. And I would really start off with like 5-gallon barrels, something like that I can actually see how it's going to mature in a barrel, and not waste a whole barrel 5-6 years down the road.
Well, no, it's a good idea. If you in a 53, there's a lot of 5 gallons that you can pull out of that. See some variance happen, or see what you want to come out of it. So,
but I do. Instead of imparting heads or tails into it, I do put sweet water. So it's a little bit different. So sweet water is below tails.
Mm-hmm.
It's a sweet tasting alcohol, and that's what I used to cut my barrels with instead of using water. So it makes us a bit different there too.
That's nice.
Sorry, I just saw something in the chat. No, John, not ball deep. We're not. That's a whole different explanation. We're not going to get into for some people here. But no, we're not doing that. That's not that deep. So like when on a typical tour experience, was it very similar like what we're doing, where you go through, you get to see everything, and then you actually get to taste like 4 open barrels that are there. And the great thing that five. Well, we tried other stuff. I kind of might have gotten lost in how much there was tried there for a little bit, but that's good. And you were, if not the first distillery to allow people to barrel or basically get a bottle of the barrel they want, just to pull it right out with a thief and put it in. How early did that come in the concept of what you're doing? Because the layout, it seemed like that might have been kind of from the beginning, as far as it goes.
I can't speak for Ross, but it definitely was not the intention at first. But he kind of saw, well, there was 2 groups that came in and was like, it'd be pretty cool if we can do it ourselves. And I was like, so that was like probably 2014. So it's pretty early on.
I dig that.
And, it was kind of interesting to see, especially when you're tasting 2 to 2.5 year old whiskey, and it's they'll still buy a bottle from you. It's kind of cool. I mean,
Yeah.
I wouldn't buy anything like that. I'd rather have White Dog.
Then you can play with it a bit, I guess. But no, I mean, I just thought conceptually it was a great idea, because it creates that extra bit of piece that ties an experience together.
Right. It really is cool. I mean, how often are you going to have a chance to operate a thief and fill your own bottle? And then, I know it's Mike's favorite part, is the floor share.
Right. I think Mike would like to see people take a class on how to use a thief before they actually.
I have a picture about that later on. We'll let Hunter get to this part.
I think there should be a third thief, that kind of like on the Bugs Bunny cartoon, that's got a huge dent in the end of it, and that's for everyone that's getting hit upside the head with it.
There's been times. It depends on. It's usually the bachelor groups. It really is, because you usually come in here already half lit, and yeah, they'll have their glass here, and then the thief's over here, and they try to go to it instead of bringing the glass to the thief, which makes more sense and not spilling as much. But yeah, there's times, and you try to be very. What's the best word for that?
I love your eye roll. Like it doesn't even happen intentionally, but it flutters. Like I remember 6 experiences that were horrible.
You try to be very nice about it, like, hey, quit fucking spilling shit. But it's part of it. They're paying for it. They're paying for it. It's not cheap, so it's definitely part of the experience, I guess. I know Mike's enjoyed that too.
See,
Yep.
God,
look what he did to that barrel.
That was not me, you son of a bitch. You know it.
Right.
See, he's not even looking at the bottom either. He's distracted.
Yeah.
I couldn't look at it anymore.
Actually, I think he's talking to you about it right now.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
I
did
got
you
it
see
wrong.
that? You see that dumb son of a bitch that spilled all that whiskey? Yeah, I sure did.
So that was Kim's. Yeah, Kim's is dead too now. That was Kim's boobs barrel, and is
That's right.
no more. Number 3 was peaches.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
I do remember that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, and this is kind of the section where you have it just a nice setup where you get to taste them, and then if you want to, you can bottle the 375 or a 75, and then you get to label your own. And man,
So now it's actually changed.
oh, see,
we
I'm
actually
lying.
turned
I'm glad
around.
you're wrong.
I
I
can
would have
actually
been bullshit.
just take you over there.
All right.
James said he wouldn't try it for himself. James, it's easier than you think. It's worth getting in there to
So
try
now
it.
Yep.
they're this way.
Oh,
So it opens it up a little bit more for the bigger groups because we are getting a lot bigger groups.
Mhm.
So it was hard fitting everyone in that corner where it kind of bottlenecks over there. And so we opened it up to a lot bigger space to accommodate those bigger groups.
mm-hmm.
And then we also opened up another 5 barrels for tasting too. So if we have super slammed, we can accommodate that also and taste out of both sides.
Oh, nice,
Okay.
nice. Some good forethought in that.
So is there a limit to what the volume that somebody can bottle themselves? Like they couldn't come in with a 5-gallon jug.
We so usually people like that just gonna buy quite a bit. So then it's all hands on deck at that point. But usually it's people that's been here before, and they'll call ahead and say, "Hey, I want 12 bottles," and they'll tell us exactly what they want, and we'll have it ready for them to pick up when they come in. And that way, it's already pre-done, and it doesn't take 30 minutes to fill 12 bottles. Also depends on how low the barrel is. I mean, that's
I was gonna say
thieving it out, so it is can be labor intensive sometimes.
Yeah, I was gonna say I know
Especially
mine
if you
was.
have a particular barrel that they want.
Yeah, I think that might have been the other problem, Mike, is that it was just hard for him to get it out. So I just like to see that. I could see from here. I can see just like that vein throb on the side of his head when I say that shit.
No, yeah, he was just stupid.
Well, I don't know. I mean, it was Craig come from like across the place. Hey, man, you gotta focus.
Yeah.
There's some of them you do have to get their attention. Like, hey, pay attention. Like, you are just spilling whiskey everywhere.
Yeah.
So have you done 53-gallon barrels the whole time, or did you guys ever try and play around with anything smaller?
53-gallon barrels the whole time. Anything that's smaller usually is just for myself, just so I can play around with it. So I do have a bunch of like 15-gallon stuff. I have some 12-gallon barrels that are secondhand, and I do have. Well, actually, I'm about to get a bunch of barrels from Kelly.
Oh, nice.
As soon as I'm able to hook up with Kelly, I got 6 barrels. And if she has more, I'll probably buy more.
The 6-gallon barrel she's using.
Yep.
Yep, I've got
Was
one
it
sitting
6
right here. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll getting a bunch more. So
Okay.
just to play around with. And little barrels are expensive, so if I can get them secondhand, I'll take it.
Right. What's your R&D process? How do you like to kind of figure things out a little bit when you're experimenting or playing around?
So I'm going to experiment a little bit. Definitely, my first person I call about anything I haven't done before is Alan Bishop. See if he's done it before and what his knowledge is and pick his brain. Then it's to the internet and reading books, trying to learn as much about it as I can, because if I haven't done it before, you don't know what you don't know. Definitely want to learn as much as I can about what I'm about to do, because I just don't want to run even a cook. You're looking around $3,000, $4,000. So it's a lot of money at stake just cooking
Right.
that you can mess up potentially.
Do you have a smaller still you're experimenting on? Or that you
we
use?
did have a 12-gallon amblet still that I would run time to time, but so
You blew it
never,
up.
So no, that one was actually really good. So actually, it was a lot easier to run. Pressure cookers are not that easy to run because controlling the heat is super hard. The 12-gallon amblet still. First time I ran it, of course, I'm used to pressure cookers, so I didn't know to put biscuits around it to seal it up. So I just lost all alcohol. But then I finally learned about that, and then I was off and running. But it's the 12-gallon recipes and stuff like that do not scale up to a 1,200-gallon cook. It just doesn't scale up. Ratios change a little bit. Not a lot, but they do change. And if you're off just a bit on your diastolic power, you're going to have your cook lock up on you. And they'll set up like cement, and it's terrible, and it's a god-awful mess. That's no experience with that at all.
Yeah.
That's just how I was going to go with that. I'm like, yeah, but it seems like once or twice that may have happened.
Oh, it just takes once, and then
never again.
Yeah. You learn real quick.
Sounds like some horrible ryes like I've heard of are just a bitch to deal with afterwards.
Ryes, that's why I hate malted rye so much is...
And here I was like, I like that part of this.
It can definitely be tricky. Actually, the last batch I ran with, it was a George Washington mash bill rye whiskey, and it had a pretty sizable amount of malted rye in it. And so I brought down my temperature too low for the malted rye. So you still have to cook the rye before you actually release the diastatic stuff. So you can actually put it in a little bit higher than you would your malt. And then the natural, the grain going in cold is going to drop your temperature anyways. So you have to time it right, and learning that timing is everything. I got it down for the corn, which is pretty easy. I just know, this is going to set me back 45 to an hour when I drop my corn, because dropping in 1,700 pounds of corn, it's going in cold. And also, the thing we're talking about, it depends on the season too. So if it's warm out, the corn's a little bit warmer, it doesn't drop as much. But when it's 15 degrees outside, it drops it pretty good. And it sets me back quite a bit. And that's when my cooks do get longer. But malted rye, it's one of those things. I make it. Do I enjoy it? I like the product, but I just don't like doing it.
Now, you're talking about corn. When we were up there, you were going through some of the different heirloom varietals that you're using. So what grains are you currently using right now that you really like?
So right now we're have our first burn down actually in a couple days, and that's when they're gonna spray the crop where we're gonna plant and get down all the weeds and stuff like that. We're actually planting Amanda Palmer on Wapsie Valley and then Yellow Dent #2 this year. But really, I got to thank Frankfort Bourbon Society. They're the ones that actually got Amanda Palmer and Wapsie Valley Argentinian Orange for me to use. And I was like, man, this is some pretty good stuff. So, and then come to find out that Alan Bishop developed Amanda Palmer was even cooler. Then I get to pick his brain about Amanda Palmer and actually how to cook it too. And it's actually a little bit different from Yellow Dent #2. So it was kind of cool to be able to do that firsthand, because I would have cooked the shit out of it, and that's not what you do with Amanda Palmer. So
I was excited when you said you were doing the Argentinian orange. Just because it was one I hadn't heard of. So I always love something I haven't heard of. And I hadn't
you thought
heard
it was
of
something else.
No,
That Argentinian orange, man.
It goes real good. No, but no, it was just a different corn that I hadn't heard of, and we've been getting into some different stuff, and that was just one that hadn't popped up. Even that crazy ass gem corn that's got fucking like every color in the world in it. Like, I just hadn't heard of this one, and it was different. And I'm like, well, that is interesting. Just because I like to see the different flavors start to emerge or pop up from some of the sub-varietals that we're getting to, like the Amanda Palmer, Bloody Butcher. There's a couple ones out there that I think when we're tasting them, I'm starting to finally see the profile hidden behind it. You know,
Right.
like, no matter who's using it, I'm starting to peg the flavor profile.
Well, it's also with some of these corns too. It does take longer to mature and actually show up in the barrel too. And I believe Bloody Butcher is one of those. I think some that's being tasted out too early. Definitely a little bit longer is going to help it out a lot too. I think it's going to be one of those 6-year, 7-year-old corns that's really going to show it, really going to shine. I think a lot of people have gotten turned off from it too.
Oh, Orange Agent Orange, but no, it's not, Sean. Yeah, I'd agree. I was gonna say, the longer I've seen it go, the better it's gotten. And I don't think I've seen the 7, but I think I've seen it more in the 5, 6 range from a lot of people, and
So,
you're really starting to see it develop.
Definitely had it in the 3 to 4 range, and it still was pretty green. But I haven't got a chance to try the 5, 6, and I'm excited to see it because the potential is there for sure.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why I'm kind of hesitant to do any Bloody Butcher. Is I want to see it. I just had bad experience with it so far.
That's fair. That's fair. And has there been anything else that you were excited about using that once you tried it and got to use it, you're like, no, like
so it's a double-edged story here too. Is I love smoked malt, but a little goes a long way.
Mhm.
You put too much smoked malt, woo! It's like putting liquid smoke in a barrel. So definitely less is more with the smoked malt.
nice.
So what's the weirdest or most outlandish thing you've thought about distilling or making?
Man, I'm very vanilla. Like I said, it's mainly people coming to me, then I get to make little changes here and there to their recipe, and that's the main thing I get to do. Had someone that wanted to do 100% malted whiskey, but it all be smoked malt. I just told them no. It was. I don't think they realized the cost that it would be, because smoked malt's not that cheap. So there's some things that I've tried, and so I kind of pull from that too, because I do like drinking a lot of different stuff too. I mean, just not bourbons. Like I said, beers, armagnacs, cognacs, Irish whiskeys, just brandies, everything. I mean,
You have one of the most open palates from someone we've talked to in general. I mean, just by the inclusion of the level of beer besides the whiskey and other things, you're someone that I what I liked is that you were always looking for the flavors. Even if something wasn't great, you're like, I was looking for this flavor, and how did you get that? I want that, you know. But about how many bottles of whiskey do you think you have?
ooh, it's changed since you've been here. It's floating right around 720, 750.
See it.
And then that's just bourbons. Then armagnacs, cognacs, and other brandies, you're looking around 250, 300. Irish whiskeys, you're looking around 100.
Okay, now people
And
are starting to find
beer.
your house. Stop.
Beer is quite a bit more.
Now, if people come visit your distillery, they really should bring you some beer, right?
Oh, always. I mean, you want the best experience possible. Beer. I'll take you in the camper out back too, and let you pick from anything in my camper. I mean, it's definitely beer is the way to my heart.
Insider tips, folks. Take that down.
That's right.
I think I did find that out because I said I was from Wisconsin, and mid everyone else like talking, Hunter and I wandered into the other room and started trying beers. Where'd they go? I was like, I don't know. We just wandered away. I'm like, do you want to come over here? and what you pulled out was damn tasty. So I was impressed.
You need to come down for Tuesday nights.
It might happen. It seems Tuesday nights are something in the whiskey community that you have to plan around. I don't know why everyone wants to have such a good time when they have to work on Wednesday, but I'm into it. I like it.
I mean, when you work 7 days a week, I mean, it's kind of...
That's true. It does get kind of a moot point.
It doesn't matter what day it is.
So do you ever get it? Like, do you have to like plan a vacation like months in advance, or are you just not allowed to take one from like May through October or some more shit?
Usually, I will kind of shut down for a month and a half, like during middle part of the year, and that's when people I've met over the course of the year. They're like, "Hey, you can come and visit and come stay with me." I'm like, I won't hold you to it because I will make a trip. Usually I'll go down through Tennessee to Alabama, then head over to Florida, then go up the coast, and I'll hit everyone that I've talked to for that year. I do collect contacts.
Dude, that's awesome. I'm glad that you do that. That there's not enough people that take the time off to go do kind of the other half.
Well, it gets too damn hot for my mash. I mean, so I'm trying to keep my fermenters 85 to 88 degrees, and when the ambient amp temperature is 99 to 100, it's kind of hard to do anything. I mean, my cooling's running at max anyways, so it's almost better not to do it and have the potential of running a batch or creating those off flavors from higher temperatures from the fermentation. Does rather just shut down.
All right, I'm pulling this back around because I missed this one. Eli, what's your go-to beer style?
Wet.
Dave, yes, he's had Spotted Cow. I think you just got some of that delivered to you recently. Oh yeah, and Martin's on board for a Tuesday, Wednesday beer tasting trading nights. Hey, it just sounds like it's a good time.
Bring some beer though.
That's right.
Bring the big guns.
Yeah, what I don't know. We had some that was like 11 or 14% when we went back there. All I know is like, this is if I have too much of this, I'll be in trouble too. You know,
yeah,
and
that's why I definitely stay here on Tuesday nights.
and also,
so usually we cook out. We have a pretty big grill smoker, and we always cook food, and then we'll open up 30 to 40 different beers that night. Between 4 or 5 of us. And they're all like high percentage, like 8+.
The ones that take a bite out of you.
Yeah, it like I say, it's the tours in the morning on Wednesday, they get a show. It's definitely pretty rough.
I could only imagine because my thing with beer is when I start tasting different ones, that's when like my stomach or my body, I don't want to say it doesn't agree with it, but I end up getting like a headache the next morning when I'm having too many like different styles in a night is what happens with me.
I do it with wine.
Yeah, I guess same thing. There's some I can tell right away as soon as I have it. I'm like, nope, you're gonna get a headache, so stop right now. Order yourself a mixed drink, damn it.
What's your go-to mixed drink?
I'm in Wisconsin, so it's an old-fashioned, but I am a whiskey old-fashioned, even though it's like brandy land here. But I like a muddled cherry in there with the orange, but that's the Wisconsin side of it for me. So I don't know.
Mike?
Manhattans, because I'll pre-make them and put them in the fridge, and they get all chilled and melded together, and then just pour them fresh and add a little cherry to it.
And finally,
I'm big on Sazeracs right now.
I can mess with that.
Yeah.
You've been trying all sorts of different stuff.
Yep.
Oh, another question I missed. What's your go-to Armagnac? Or do you have a favorite distiller?
I really don't. I'm blanking right now. So it's, like I said, if you want me to disappear for like 5 minutes, then I can go pull one out.
Is there a favorite vintage you've had?
Not really.
No.
Armagnacs aren't really my go-to. It's mainly towards the cognac side and the
Okay.
Irish whiskey side, especially more towards the Irish whiskey. Definitely like the Highlands region. More so like the younger side than the older side. I like definitely tasting like ground up tire has been put in my mouth. Like the heavier the peat, better.
Nice.
There you go.
Okay.
I think that the older stuff is just too mellow.
Fucking red. I do not like
Look
a
at
Cosmo.
Yeah. Which one of the Sex and the City girls are you, Patrick?
Yeah. God damn it. That's. I don't even know if I've had one of those.
Patrick and his chocolatinis.
Okay, I'll be honest. I have had one to see what a couple of those to see what they're like in my life. I don't think you don't go to like a martini bar and not try a martini. No, I'll try all sorts of different ones, but no, that's
Damn
not.
it, Patrick!
That's
Our
not my
show just
go-to.
lost all credibility right now.
That's right.
Are you saying you've never had some froofy drink at some point in your past? Farco style? No.
So,
I am not a.
that I've had.
I've never even had Fireball. So,
Okay,
Me.
I've definitely had Fireball, American Honey. I mean, that was like when I was in college. That was the big thing. It was American Honey. Then it changed over to Fireball pretty quick.
I don't like either one of those. Sorry, they're both just scary.
Christy wants to know what the
you
Gimp
just
drinks.
shoot it. You don't actually drink it. You just shoot it. So
That's true, but even so, it's better than Jägermeister, but it's right on that same
oh yeah, that's definitely
level. Ugh. I don't know what the Gimp drinks, Christy. I don't get to pick what he drinks. He just gets to drink through a straw. That's all I know. So,
I thought you just threw a bucket at him.
I am not in control of that person. I have no urge to be in control of that person. So, do you have any whiskey releases coming up in the near future for people to watch out for?
we don't really release anything, anyways. We'll do for like Memorial Day and 4th of July and stuff like that. We'll have releases then for that day only. But in general, it's the barrels we taste out of. I mean, there are releases, and you have to come down here and try them out and see which one you like, because they are hand selected, then put out for y'all to try.
Nice.
Red wants to know if we can go in the camper. Now, you can say no. You can tell her no.
No, we can't.
I didn't think so either. But.
It is a wreck right now, so it's still a wreck from last Tuesday.
It's the perfect place for R&D, is what it is.
Yeah.
So that's what most of them are.
So,
oh, go ahead, Mike. Sorry.
I have a question. I was trying to figure out a way to phrase it because I didn't want it to sound douchey. But what? Because you're still young. You're still kind of you're I'll say new to this, but I mean compared to other people like Alan Bishop or others. But what do you want? In 10 years, what do you want people to say about you as a distiller?
Says about me. He made pretty decent bourbon. I mean, it's That's all I can really ask for. It's very humbling for people to come in here and willing to pay the good money for stuff that I made. It means a lot to me. I mean, it really does. I mean, that's probably the best part of my job.
Yeah. Well, it is good.
It's better than decent already.
Yes.
So just so you know.
Yeah. It's way better than decent because it was it was a hard choice picking between the four, but we don't bullshit on here at all. But I could say without any reservations that was some of the best whiskey that I've had, and it was the two that ended up taking home. They were only regret was that I didn't get too much larger bottles. Or four. but no, it's damn good whiskey.
Thank you.
You would have had to break into another barrel. You took what was left of the number 4, damn it.
Yeah, four got emptied.
Yeah.
So I dumped it out, and the rest of it is sitting in the camper.
Mike's driving down.
I feel like there's a
camper tonight.
You got like a gallon left in there, so that goes into the private stock.
Nice.
Oh wow, that's nice. Now that just now when I thought about, I'm just bringing up this picture. Our friend Kevin was on the trip as well too. Do you get many people staring at your stack of supplies like they're trying to make a heist and how to steal it like this?
Well, those are empty jugs, so that's actually Uncle Douchey stuff that we filled. And he did some really cool stuff with some stoneware jugs. I mean, it looks phenomenal. But yeah, I've probably been right there with him if I was in his shoes too.
I know I saw him doing it, and I was like, "What's Kevin trying to figure out here?" And I was like,
Kevin's making a plan.
Mike, you need something better than the truck we have right now. We can't do it with this."
Yeah, you don't make a quick getaway in a Dodge minivan on a gravel road.
Yeah.
That was just another thing too about the location. Now this isn't the distillery. This is where like the gift shop and visitor center is at the top. But
what's he doing? Is he like peeping through the door?
Yeah, that's Ben. He is.
Yeah,
peeping.
I was trying to go through.
Yeah, I don't even know if it was open, but he's
in.
one of those mouth breathers to head against the window and just see what was going on.
Right. Yeah.
He was breathing on the glass and drawing dicks.
I expect nothing less.
No, but
you notice why there's no glass here at all, besides on the spirit safe, because I'd be doing the same thing. Then the only time when I'm distilling and running my tails when it actually gets hot in there and the vapors come up, and then all of a sudden there's a dick that appears.
you just became Mike's favorite distiller.
Yeah, I mean,
see, I was like,
if there's a surface, it has to be on it.
Right.
That's what happens when I go camping and fishing with my friends. If your windows are dirty, just expect it. Because you come back out and there's no surface that doesn't have anything on it.
A cold distill and all these penises start to surface.
Pretty much.
So that's one of the things about the distill one that just got polished, because like first thing when tourists come in, what do they want to do? Touch it. I was like, no, don't touch it. Like, I've already smacked one girl's hand. Because the oils on her hands will sit there and tarnish it. And I got to go back over it in about 18 hours, 24 hours, because then there'll be a spot. I got to sit there and scrub it back off. I don't know if I'm just too stubborn to put up a sign that says don't touch, or I'm just too lazy to put up a sign that says don't touch.
I think Hunter likes to slap your hand. Get that crack out. That's fair. I would.
Get some racquetballs and throw them at them.
James is wondering, do you ever intend to let some flights out and about the publicity it can generate? So, like, say you had the 4 barrels, you ever think about doing like a tasting thing where you might be able to sample 3 or 4 barrels for on an evening or something?
We've thought about it, but then we do that too. We're also taking away from the people that come here. because every bit that we do that is taking that amount out of the barrel. So it's because it is a finite amount of liquid in there. So it's definitely something that we kind of cherish, other than the flare share. Still can't get it right.
Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
So definitely want to like keep as much of that as we possibly can here on site, and it's just kind of one of those things that you have to experience for yourself by coming here.
I was just reading what Renee said. She's like, people will still touch it. Think about the ones who don't think they'll fall from the other side of a cliff or that a bison won't attack. I always like the people on motorcycles that like try to challenge a bison, and I'm like, what are you doing? Why would you? You're gonna lose. Alan had a good question here. If you could make a whiskey or a brandy, what would it be? Especially kind of like at this point with where you're at.
So being at K-State, they're one of their heads of the agriculture people was one of the world foremost people in pawpaws, and I always thought pawpaws had a very interesting taste. And Dr. Pomper, and he has access to a lot of pawpaws, and he always made a killer pawpaw ice cream. So I always thought it'd be a very interesting flavor to try to make into a brandy. But also, I've never done any brandies, so that's also something I would have to lean on him. Also, being Alan, to help me guide me through that.
That sounds awesome. I hadn't even thought of that. That sounds like a good flavor profile to actually try to pull from.
I'll say a mango-ish pear. I mean, it's definitely a unique flavor.
I like it. All right. Well, we are coming up on a little bit over an hour, and we usually don't like to keep people too horribly on in an evening.
I mean, you can go as long as you want.
Well, I mean, we can take some more questions from the chat, and I don't know if Mike or Ben have any other. I didn't want to cut anyone off, but we also don't want to eat up too much of people's evenings, because we know that you're taking it. This is the extra part of your day, and then we're cutting into probably nap time between now and having to get up at 4 or 5 in the damn morning.
No, I get up around 8, so we started here at 10, unless I'm doing something like distilling or cooking. So
I like your distillery already.
yeah,
I like the theme you got going on. Do you like the Eagles or Skinnerd?
Ooh, Skinnerd.
Okay. I think I would have to lean that way too. I'm not quite.
I think there's more songs towards Skinnerd than there is Eagles. I mean, man, I don't dislike the Eagles.
Do you have a playlist?
Unless you talk about Philadelphia, then it's probably sucks.
Do you have a playlist or a set style of music you like to play when you're distilling?
It's mainly Tyler Childress and Sturgill, and if you come here on a tour, you'll most likely hear either one of those playing through our speakers.
All right.
Favorite album from one of them?
The vinyl from Childress and Sturgill. Pick me up.
Nice.
Yeah.
Ooh, nice. I dig that. All right. This one is just this is way too tasty. This number 4. I'm going back to it again. I don't care if we're staying on longer or not.
So, all right. So, what's better, distillery dogs or distillery cats?
Dogs.
And what's the distillery dog's name?
This is Remy. She's with me every single day. She even signs bottles too.
All right.
And she's
So-
an awesome dog, as
Yeah.
far as like a distillery greeter and everything. She was trying to herd some drunk people out of the distillery the best she could at that point. There may have been a bachelor party in there beforehand.
Yeah, it's she helps a lot too. It's for people that give a shit about the tasting. It gives them something to do. It's play of her, but she also is a diva. And I'm surprised she hasn't got her own trailer yet. She loves taking pictures, especially in front of the still, jumping on top of barrels. She loves it, and I don't know. And it keeps me company. I mean, it does get pretty lonely doing those long hours here, so it's nice to have that because our distillery cat is never seen. It's here. I mean, it eats food and it shits in the litter box, but other than that, I don't see it. I hear it every occasionally, but I just don't see it.
And you have a decent enough big farm that I could see how you might not see a cat at all. I'm like,
No,
really?
the distillery cat stays in the distillery, and
Oh,
that's
really?
It never leaves, but you never see it. So I went. So we had cat we had before was Sundown, and it was almost too affectionate. And some people that have allergies and stuff like that, and I was like, that's kind of weird. It's like, we can't have a cat rubbing all over people and be greeting people like, because some people like more allergic to cats than they are dogs. So the next cat we went and got, I went to the main society and said, hey, I need a barn cat, but also I don't need one that's super affectionate. I need one that's going to be make itself scarce. I mean, I like to be seen, but doesn't really give a shit about people. They definitely went way too far on the skittish part. Never see it. I mean, I
Ghost
hear it.
cat.
I've got a couple pictures, but it's just like it running across like the middle of the distillery, and that's it.
I don't know if you know this. I don't know what Christy's referencing, but I missed the raccoon hunter badass cat. Did you have a cat that hunted raccoons?
That was Sundown.
That was Sundown?
Sundown. The previous cat took on like 3 raccoons and whooped all their asses. Also brought up a fish from the creek that's behind the distillery. I mean, it was just a badass cat.
That's awesome. Aaron's saying, so you might have missed it, but how many acres do you guys, farming land do you guys have?
So we have, depends on your definition of farming. So we have 127 acres here. We grow 14 acres of corn, but we on the other land we also have cattle, and that's what I feed my mash to, and that is what. Well, now we have actually acquired a couple of cows ourselves, and that's what we're going to be using in our food truck also.
Oh.
So it's
that's
kind of, we're trying to do like a full circle kind of thing. So
Mm-hmm.
cows here, I'm distilling bourbon. The stillage goes out to the cows. Cows go to the food truck.
nice
Like
sight.
the bourbon. So it's
There you
kind of
go.
like a pairing.
Now, when you mentioned you had a food truck out there, now do you guys have, when you guys have like sporting events or stuff going on, do you have food trucks that go out there so that you can like?
We have our own food truck, so we'll actually have
Oh, yeah.
other chefs come in and use the food truck, or they're. So we have this one, Carrie. She actually cooks over an open flame. Takes her forever, but man, it's phenomenal. Like I can't even get potatoes to taste how she does at home in the kitchen, but she's doing over open fire, which is rough, and squash and these great big old prime ribs. I mean, she's amazing. But then we also have other people who use the food trucks, stuff like that, use the grill that I have. But we also do events like that we can make a very special, intimate setting, and also be able to have barrels to taste out of. And it's kind of cool to be able to do that too.
I like that. That makes it a nice event and very well rounded. And do you have to do that because of bullshit laws with the food truck? Because I know we have to do that here with breweries. You're not allowed to have food in it, but you can have a food truck outside.
I'm not
It's
really
like
sure
cheating
here in
rules.
Kentucky, but the previous owner, he thought it was a great idea to buy a food truck, and we bought a food truck, and we just started serving food. I mean, we just got back for maintenance, and it's about to get up and going here in probably the next 2-3 weeks.
Nice. So another adage to stop out to see you guys for an afternoon, because I know there's not too much else around there as far as food. So definitely, pick
Yeah,
up stuff.
we're the exit before all the food, but we're the exit you get off for wild turkey and also buffalo trace. So
It's a damn good exit.
I couldn't ask for a better location.
Now, talking about wild turkey, you had experience at wild turkey before.
Yeah, I worked at wild turkey for 3 years. I did a little bit of everything there, and it was a great learning experience, especially on a totally different scale. But there's other things that I can apply from that scale here, and that's helped a lot too. And also, I've made plenty of contacts when I was there too, so it was a great experience.
What was some of the most important lessons you learned while there?
Definitely. Well, besides the contacts, definitely there being a crew leader. Definitely learning all about the barrel, how to cooper a barrel if needed, clocking a barrel, handling a lot of barrels, which was a pain in my ass, and wore on my body. Being there in the shipping side too, I mean, that's a big part because we do a lot of. So we got down home, good times. We also have Sea Legs, Door Knocker, and a few other brands here too that helping them deal with the shipping side of it too has been a big asset.
I can only imagine that's a lot to deal with, and sometimes the harder part of stuff of breaking down barriers to get stuff to the right places as far as shipping and distribution.
Right, and it's one of the most important parts too. I mean, if something doesn't reach there safely, then I mean, what was the point?
Yeah,
and you're out a lot of money too.
So if somebody wanted to get a job at a distillery, just starting off, and like what advice would you give somebody that was just trying to get a job at a distillery?
Work their dick in the ground. Like I said, don't be afraid of work. That's for sure. Hard work does pay off. That is 100%. I really thank my dad for that too, and my mom, because they got nothing given to me. I always had to work for it. Definitely, well, besides working, a thirst for knowledge. Not necessarily college or anything like that, but I mean, you have the world at your fingertips with your phone. I mean, you can Google anything you want and learn about anything that you want to. I mean, just learn as much as possible. But then contacts. I mean, reach out. It doesn't hurt to reach out to people and talk to people about what they're doing or why they did this or their experiences with doing something distilling wise. I mean, most of them are actually pretty willing to help you out, and I think a lot of people will be shocked by that.
Well, the worst thing someone says is no or doesn't answer you. I mean, it's not the end of the world.
It's like asking a girl out. I mean, you got to try a lot too. I mean, you're gonna get turned down 80% of the time, but that 20% of the time.
I was gonna go somewhere, but I'm not.
Oh, do it.
No. I'm not gonna take that shot right now. Then let's leave Al alone. Mark was saying he'll be so tired the ground is all the energy you'll have left. Yeah, you'll probably be pretty wore out for it. From doing all that stuff. I could only imagine, but I think it's cool that you did go to the big scale before coming back down to the little scale.
Right.
So who were some of the people in the whiskey community that made a difference in your life, or the ones that kind of changed your way of thinking as the process has gone on?
Definitely Alan Bishop. I mean, he used to call for me about at least every week. It's a week and a half, and I always say, "This be a real quick conversation." Like I'm hoping for a 5-minute conversation.
That dude's
45
never.
minutes later, it goes by, and we're like, "All right, I gotta pick up my Chinese food now." So he's always one that I always go to for anything that I haven't done before. I mean, he's definitely one I lean on a lot. Another one would be like Christy. She just has phenomenal connections in the bourbon world, and also has a phenomenal palate and always a willing taster too. Also, you have Tony Monticello. He introduced me to a lot of the Irish whiskeys and Armagnacs and cognacs, and that side, and went through a dark, deep hole with that too. I don't know if I need to thank him or not. I mean, a wallet doesn't, but then you have Royce too. Royce introduced me to Alan and Christy, and helped me get into a lot of different contacts too. I mean, there's a lot of people to thank too. There's a lot, and I wouldn't be here without them.
Damn.
Nice.
This is a tasty ass whiskey. I'm sorry. This is.
Mm-hmm.
It's just getting better and better as the night goes on, just the way it's supposed to.
Yes, it is. So, would you ever want to try to make an Irish for yourself?
I would, but I wouldn't want to fund it.
That's like the
Be
practicality.
one of those contract distilling, because that's the other thing about, like, I was talking about contract distilling before, is usually we only put like a 1 or 2 barrel minimum on them, and then we usually get a third barrel, so that third barrel comes to us. So that's why we have so many different varied mash bills in our barrels too, is because it's all from the contract distilling, and that's something that we love too, because we celebrate the single barrel.
So if you could get somebody that you can steer them towards an Irish, what type of Irish would you make?
I don't know. I really don't know. That's something I don't have experience with, so I wouldn't know how to. Would be easier for me to start off with, but it's something I have to read up more about, because I never thought I would have an opportunity to do it, for one, because I said it is costly, especially over here. But actually, I'm going to meet with Caleb up in Indiana.
Oh, okay.
Tuesday.
Mm-hmm.
No, it's Wednesday now. Wednesday we're going up there and talk to him. I'm actually getting a bunch of barley from him.
Nice. Okay, well then, how about this? Green spot or red breast?
Fuck green spot, yellow spot.
Okay. Okay. No, that's an even better answer right there, because I was never the greatest fan of green spot, but other
Green
spots.
spot's shit. Yellow spot's the best. Red spot can go take a shit. It's overpriced.
And red breast is just off left and left field.
I mean, I've had some good ones. I've had some bad ones.
I like that. Very,
I mean,
very
it's the
nice.
same with anybody.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, you're definitely going to have some down ones, and you're going to have some really good ones too. I
Yeah.
mean, it's just part of it.
And that's true. That is true. Now, are you guys a part of the Kentucky Bourbon Trail?
Not the Bourbon Trail. We're actually trying to get back onto the Craft Trail.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
We're going through all the steps now. But yes, eventually, yes, we will be back on the Craft Trail.
Okay.
Well, I was gonna say, I think it's a stop that I think most of the people out there, if you're traveling through Kentucky, you should definitely take a trip to this. It's a very relaxing, serene area, and you guys it has a really nice feel. I think we were talking about before the show. It's not like a pressured experience. Sometimes when you'll go to distilleries, you get a little antsy about stuff and a little iffy about like being rushed through things. And you guys were just very relaxed about the whole thing and the discussion of the process, and even the tasting seemed more like you were hanging out rather than sometimes you feel like you're put in like a mini boardroom to make a decision.
Like I said, there's always Tyler Childress or Sturgill playing on the speakers in here, so it's always kind of, there's always something going on. And then probably one of the cooler things about tours is you have like Michigan people tour comes down, and then some people from Ohio, and then they start talking, and then he found connections too, and then he started talking about the bourbon too. It's really cool to see them interact also, and see them make bonds with each other.
Nice.
Would you ever want to have somebody else doing your tours, or do you enjoy that part?
It's a loaded question.
Well, let's get loaded and answer it.
Definitely, I enjoy it, but you do get burned out. Not just burned out, but also when I'm giving tours, I'm just delaying my work. So when I get done with tours, then I have to actually go to actually do work. So it extends my day, and that's what I'm running into right now. Is you have tours for 8 hours, and then I gotta go work for 8 to 10 hours. That's what I'm running into right now. So anyone wants to be a tour guide?
Well, Ben, other people, anyone want to be a
Hey.
tour guide? It could happen. Hey, that's another thing too, as far as asking at distilleries if someone has an opening. There's a lot of times people are just too afraid to ask.
Mhm.
I mean, look at Jimmy Russell. Jimmy Russell started off weed eating there at the Wild Turkey. I mean, can't really get any lower. And look at him now. I mean, it's kind of crazy.
I think it's awesome how that type of stuff comes all full circle. So, let's see here. Does the tour guide get access to the
Yes, and also Tuesday nights.
and also
All right.
Tuesday nights? And even Eli is concerned if you get taken into the camp. I think you're going to have more people concerned about the camper at this point when they come to see you. Remember to bring beer in the first place, and that you might not all
beer
get
is
it.
the gateway to the camper.
Yes.
Yeah. Good,
If you tour Three Boys, bring good beer.
good beer. That's just
Good beer.
what I was
No
gonna
Miller,
say.
no Miller Lite, no Coors Light.
Hey, we can
PBR.
talk about Coolers is all right. I'll save it for Kelly.
Yeah, give the Coors to Kelly.
There you go.
But bring your state's finest to Three
An
Boys.
offering to Kelly is an offering to me.
Okay.
So, but no, I think when we went there, we had an awesome time, and that's because of everyone that was there, and you guys were very open about the process, and it was just a very relaxed environment, very kind of our style. I mean, some people like all hoity-toity and tied up, but I just want people who are being honest about what they're doing and how they're trying to get somewhere. And to be honest, I loved how you have a kind of humbled approach to it. If that, I don't want to sound bad, but I mean, it's great because even when you answered my questions earlier, you were like, I just want to make a decent whiskey. Not like some people like, I want to make, one of the top 10 whiskeys in the world, which you're already making a fantastic whiskey. You're just very modest about it, very humble about the process and how you're getting there. But you're going into a lot more depth than what we're seeing a lot of other people do as far as researching flavor components and trying to get to that point. So we just want people to know that you should be stopping out to see Three Boys Distillery and Hunter Coffey whenever you get a chance. And remember, bring them beer because you're making them work 16-hour days when you come to visit them.
Beer is always appreciated. For sure.
Just don't show up drunk.
I mean, just
maybe
act appropriately. I mean,
yeah, a little buzzed, a little bit. You just don't be hammered. It,
You mean like spilling everywhere? The floor share? That is a coined phrase now, by the way. Here.
Yeah.
You want to see Mike spontaneously combust? Just mention floor share one more time.
No, I'm good with it.
Cool.
yeah, you're
Yeah,
fine.
I'm good. I'm
Right.
good with it. I've had my comments about that dumb son of a bitch, and I'm done talking about it.
Sure about that? I think I want
I'm
to cheers
totally
everyone.
sure.
You go see your therapist this week, Mike?
Huh? Yeah.
You go see your
My-
therapist
my-
this week?
Baby
it's right here.
steps.
Yeah.
Therapist is right here. Its name is number 4.
All over the floor.
But I just want to say thank you for coming on the show tonight, Hunter. We really appreciated having you on. We appreciate everyone in the chat who's been here all the night, all the great questions, and sticking around to learn a little bit more about what's going on here. Oh, God damn it. There's always one more question when you go back. I think Mark had one. Have you grabbed any whiskey mash and turned it into a beer?
I've not thought about that.
So that's a no, but it sounds like it's something that may be happening. Damn it.
Yeah, we do have some other things on the works right now with that. But yeah, that's never thought about doing that.
How involved are you with barrels and processing for your whiskey? I would say beer.
So like the making of the barrels.
I am not, we'll give him a second to reply here. I'd assume you probably have a cooper or someone that does it. Or you get it from someplace.
Usually we use Kelvin Cooperage.
Okay.
Kelvin Cooperage and East Bernstadt is the main people that we use. For when I order something from Kelvin Cooperage, I will put in my order, but then I also go up there periodically and hang out with them a little bit and shoot the shit and watch them make barrels. Man, it's a pretty cool process.
It's always nice to get to see a little bit more.
And I also give you free bones, so.
I always take it. John was just saying great stream. And actually, John will be on Saturday evening on our next live stream that we're having where we're tasting some stuff that he and Mike may have smuggled out of Crowded Barrel Distillery. I don't, maybe that happened.
There was an exchange of fluids.
Wow, we went there.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. That sounds like I'm just going to leave that between the two of you. We can discuss that on the next stream. That has nothing to do with here whatsoever. Tonight.
Well, I might not be on the next one, so that's my daughter's graduation night. So it depends on how things go. So
yes, we'll see how that goes, and congratulations to her. You know, a little cheers.
Yeah,
the last one made it. Yeah.
So you only have a little bit more, and you might have an empty house.
Oh, one could only hope. I mean that lovingly.
I'm sure you do, and I know exactly what you mean by that. But Hunter, thank you so much for coming on. It was a pleasure to talk to you and to get to know a little bit more about Three Boys for the people who haven't gotten a chance to stop in there. If you haven't, please do, because we had an excellent time there, and I'm sure you will. And then if you do, you can apply to be the tour guide. So
Please.
That's even a request from the distiller. So that may work out in your favor. So cheers, everyone. Until next time, we'll see you then.
All right.
Have a good night, everyone.
Cheers.
Night.
Let's get into it. 1, 2, 3. Come on.